Our top focus this morning is on all the infighting that we're witnessing in the Punjab Congress, and the top party leadership is really scrambling to broker a truce before the assembly polls next year. That's why Navjot Singh Sidhu, who's been at loggerheads with Chief Minister Amrinder Singh, has now been summoned to Delhi by the Gandhis. Here are all the details.
As a batsman, Navjot Singh Sidhu often stepped out of his crease to blast the bowlers.
That's the biggest of them all. This is a huge hit. That would be six on any ground anywhere in the world.
His political innings has been no different. The former cricketer has taken on Captain Amrinder Singh like nobody else in the past has dared to. Embarrassed by its own leaders, the Congress top brass is scrambling to broker a truce in Punjab, which is going for polls next year. The Gandhis have finally summoned Sidhu to Delhi. The star Neta will meet Congress MP Rahul Gandhi and party's General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi on Tuesday. Sources say the leadership is upset with Sidhu for his public outbursts against Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh and has told him to restrain himself. The Gandhis' direct outreach to Sidhu came just a week after Rahul Gandhi snubbed Captain Amrinder Singh. The Congress MP did not give the Punjab Chief Minister an audience when he was in the national capital. This even as Rahul Gandhi met party leaders from Punjab to get their views on the political situation in the state. The Congress party has already formed a panel to resolve the crisis in party's Punjab unit. The panel has held many meetings with both Sidhu and Amrinder.
कमेटी ने अपनी रिपोर्ट कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट को दे दी है। जुलाई के प्रथम सप्ताह तक 8-10 तारीख तक जो है कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट का निर्णय आ जाए।
Sidhu has been at loggerheads with Amrinder Singh over a series of issues ranging from sacrilege of Guru Granth Sahib to police firing on protesters in 2016 to captain's alleged proximity to the Akalis.
The incident is related to the stealing of the Guru Granth Sahib.
With just months to go for assembly elections, the Gandhis are keen to make the two reach a truce. How they do it remains a mystery. Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, the Aam Aadmi Party is facing off with the Congress in Punjab ahead of next year's assembly polls. The Aam Aadmi Party has claimed that the Amrinder Singh government has denied permission for Kejriwal to hold a press conference in Chandigarh. Kejriwal was set to announce free electricity for Punjab if his party comes to power in the state next year. In a tweet, Kejriwal said that like Delhi, the AAP government will provide 200 units of free power to Punjab. The Aam Aadmi Party, however, claimed that the Chief Minister's office refused to give permission for Kejriwal to go ahead with that media briefing, which was scheduled to be held at Punjab Bhavan at 1 p.m. today. The Congress-led Punjab government has, however, hit back at AAP, accusing it of lying and of doing drama, denying all the allegations from the Aam Aadmi Party. Another big story that we're tracking this Tuesday morning. Former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh, who's been, of course, under the scanner for his role in the extortion racket, he's set to appear before the Enforcement Directorate in the Maharashtra Hafta Gate case. This comes after he skipped the first summon on Saturday. The Enforcement Directorate has claimed to have found clinching evidence to nail Deshmukh in the extortion case. The probe agency has alleged that former Assistant Police Inspector Sachin Vaze collected 4.7 crore rupees from orchestra bars in Mumbai. A portion of the money extorted was routed to Delhi-based shell firms, only to be diverted to a trust that was owned by Deshmukh. Remember that Deshmukh's personal secretary Sanjeev Palande and personal assistant Kundan Shinde are currently, in fact, in ED custody till July 1st. And in Bengal, again, it's a fresh showdown between the governor and the government. We're seeing a war of words now between Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Governor Jagdeep Dhankar. Mamata fired a fresh salvo at Dhankar, saying that the governor was named in the charge sheet of the Jain Hawala case of 1996. Speaking at a press conference at the State Secretariat Nabana, Mamata also said that she had written 3 letters in the past to the centre demanding that Dhankar be removed as the West Bengal governor and referring to him as a corrupt person. Dhankar, meanwhile, has hit back at the Chief Minister and said that Mamata's facts are based on misinformation and that he never expected such a statement from a seasoned politician. Hours after Mamata's presser, the governor also came out to speak to the media. Responding to the allegation, he said that he has never been charge-sheeted and that there is not a single document either which says so. The infamous Jain Hawala scandal was a political and a financial scandal involving huge payments allegedly sent by politicians through 4 Hawala brokers, namely the Jain brothers.
He is a corrupted man. He is a corrupted man, I am sorry to say. All corruption-oriented man. Why central government will allow a governor like this? हावला जॉइंट केस में अगर गवर्नर का सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का पास पता नहीं है तो मैं कह देती हूँ, आप चार्जशीट निकालिए, वो चार्जशीट में उनका नाम था कि नहीं था?
I never expected a leader of her stature to create sensation, engage in misinformation, engage in misrepresentation. It is in public domain. No one has been convicted in Hawala case. Your governor has not been charge-sheeted.
Let's get here now this exclusive report. India Today highlighted the plight of students in Wayanad who had no access to internet and were struggling to cope with their studies. Actor Sonu Sood immediately reacted, pledging help with a promise to install a mobile tower. Then you had MP Rahul Gandhi also taking note of India Today's report, and he sought the centre's intervention to augment digital infrastructure in his constituency.
The range gets cut off, so I cannot attend the class. And then I will, from my mother's phone, I will call the teachers and I will report them.
India Today gave their voice a platform, and now they are getting a helping hand. A ground report by our reporters highlighted the plight of school and college students in Wayanad, who are unable to access internet for studies. Actor and philanthropist Sonu Sood, who watched the report, has offered to pitch in. Sood has promised to install a mobile tower in the area that featured in the ground report. The India Today team had found the students sitting on a bridge as they travelled through the forest route from Tirunelli to Panavalli. They explained this is the only spot where they could find proper internet connectivity.
COVID വന്ന മുതൽ ഓൺലൈൻ ക്ലാസ് തന്നെയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ റേഞ്ചിന്റെ വലിയ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ക്ലാസ്സുകളിൽ ഇടയ്ക്ക് സ്കിപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് ഇറങ്ങേണ്ട അവസ്ഥയാണ്. ക്ലാസ് കിട്ടാണ്ട് ഒരു ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. ഇവിടെ വന്നിരുന്ന് പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ കുറച്ച് ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പോകുന്നത്, പിന്നെ മഴയൊക്കെ ആവുമ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെതായ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് വന്നിരുന്ന് പഠിക്കേണ്ട അവസ്ഥയാണ്.
കഴിഞ്ഞ പ്രാവശ്യം പിന്നെ ഫോണ് ചെല്ലായിരുന്നു, അതുകൊണ്ട് ടി വിയിൽ മാത്രമായതുകൊണ്ട് കുഴപ്പമില്ലായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്രാവശ്യം മാറ്റിയത് കൊണ്ട് ഫോണിലേക്ക് ആയതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ പ്രശ്നം. റേഞ്ചില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ വന്നിരിക്കുക.
നോട്ട്സ് ഒക്കെ എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുമോ കറക്റ്റായിട്ട്?
ഇല്ല, അതെല്ലാം വീട്ടിൽ പോയി ഇരുന്നിട്ടാണ് ഇത്. എല്ലാം ഇവിടുന്ന് എടുത്തു വെക്കും, എന്നിട്ട് വീട്ടിൽ പോയി എഴുതും.
A little further from the bridge, on the other side of the mountain, the situation was even worse. Every day, over 20 students climb up the steep mountain in search of internet connectivity. The students have created a makeshift shed with wooden sticks and polythene sheets to make their lives a little easier.
My house is far down there, so I have to climb a lot of distance, about 500 meters or 1 kilometer, and I have to come here. So I will come in the morning, and if battery charge is gone, I have to go back and recharge. Then I have to come back. It's very difficult. Then about 3 times a day we climb and go down.
ഇവിടെയെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ റേഞ്ച് ഇല്ല. തേർഡ് ഇയറിൽ എനിക്ക് പകുതിമുക്കാൽ ക്ലാസ് മിസ്സായിട്ടുണ്ട്. പല ക്ലാസ്സുകളും എനിക്ക് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടില്ല. എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. താഴെ ഇവിടെ കയറി വരണമെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് ഏകദേശം ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റോളം ഞാൻ എടുക്കും. എന്നാലും ഞാൻ ഓടിക്കത്തിച്ചാണ് ഇവിടെ വരും. അപ്പോഴേക്കും ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. കാരണം എനിക്ക് നേരത്തെ സമയം അറിയാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ എത്തുമ്പോഴേക്കും എനിക്ക് നേരത്തെ ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങി അറ്റൻഡൻസ് എടുത്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടായിരിക്കും ഞാൻ വരിക.
1 2 2 3 3
Hours after India Today's report on the plight of the Wayanad children went viral, drawing on help from Sonu Sood, the member of parliament from this area also took note. In a letter shot off to the central government, Wayanad MP Rahul Gandhi requested that the plight of underserved communities in Wayanad be addressed urgently with digital infrastructure. India Today has ensured the children of Wayanad have been heard. Their determination and grit will not go unrewarded. We will keep track of deliveries as promised. With Gopi Krishnan Unnithan in Wayanad, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now let's get you all the latest updates on the COVID front and also on the vaccination drive. Covishield, which is the version of AstraZeneca being manufactured by Pune-based Serum Institute of India, is yet to be listed by the European Medicines Agency for the EU Green Pass eligibility, essentially like a vaccine passport. Now, the vaccine's developers, Serum Institute, say they are taking up this matter, but questions are now being raised on why there's a lack of clarity around vaccine passports as well as approvals for travel. Is it time now for some sort of a uniform policy on vaccine passports and to settle this confusion once and for all?
Documents ready. Flights booked. 2 doses of anti-COVID vaccine taken. All the boxes ticked. But are you ready to travel to Europe? Not quite. None of the vaccines in use in India are approved by the European Medicines Agency to be eligible for green passes or vaccine passports as they are popularly known. Not even Covishield, which is the Indian version of AstraZeneca's vaccine, though it is approved by the World Health Organization. This is because the Serum Institute of India, the manufacturer of Covishield, did not apply for EMA's clearance. Serum Institute of India CEO Adar Poonawalla on Monday tweeted that he is taking up the matter at the highest level, both with regulators and at a diplomatic level with countries. Sources in the government say India has raised the issue with the EMA. The European regulator has so far permitted only 4 vaccines: Comirnaty, manufactured by Pfizer; Janssen, manufactured by Johnson & Johnson; Spikevax by Moderna; and AstraZeneca's Vaxzevria.
EU says that the EU COVID Green Pass that has been approved is for intra-EU travel only and not for those countries that lie outside the ambit of the European Union. Regarding the question of AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured in India, all vaccine manufacturers will have to seek approval from the European Union to get that Green Pass for travel, but that will only come about once European Union opens up for travelers from outside of the EU.
In the new world, vaccine passports are a necessity for travel across international borders. What is worrying though is the absence of uniformity in clearances given to vaccines. For instance, Covishield is approved by the World Health Organization but is not accepted by the European Union. The other 2 vaccines available in India, Covaxin and Sputnik V, are yet to get emergency use listing or authorization from the World Health Organization.
We need to ask serious questions about how we perpetuate inequities in vaccine access. Right now, our entire focus should be on getting the world vaccinated so we can contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, countries are deploying immunity-based class systems that are perpetuating inequity.
The World Health Organization's position on vaccine passports for the moment is this: that it is not yet required. But Israel and other European countries have already started to implement the system. Experts say that there should be a WHO framework and also uniformity and clarity on vaccine passports so that countries are not at a disadvantage. In New Delhi, Sneha Murdani for India Today.
Now, as the Ganga swells up with the onset of monsoon, bodies of COVID victims that were buried in shallow graves of the river sandbags were seen to be floating in the waters of Prayagraj. Over 160 bodies have been cremated so far in Prayagraj. This is in the last 3 weeks alone.
Bodies floating in the Ganga river in May at the peak of the second wave shocked India. Those images are now coming back to haunt the Uttar Pradesh government. After the rains, more bodies are surfacing after the Ganga eroded its river banks at many places. As the pandemic raged, hundreds of people died and their bodies were hurriedly buried on the banks of the holy river. Now, these bodies have begun to emerge, floating on the swollen Ganga. In Prayagraj alone, 160 bodies found on the river banks were cremated in the last 3 weeks.
यहाँ नगर निगम तरफ से टीम लगी हुई है, एनडीआरएफ की टीम भी लगी हुई है, तब से ये सब बंद हो गया है. अब जो पहले गड़ी हुई लाश है, जैसे कटान लगा है, वहाँ से निकल के आ रही हूँ, वही बह के गई हैं 1-2 लाश.
The exposure from the bodies is a concern for city authorities. Teams have been deployed to cremate the bodies at the Fafa Mau Ghat in Prayagraj.
20-22 दिनों में यहाँ पर हम लोगों ने करीब 150 लाशों का अंतिम संस्कार हिंदू रीति रिवाज के अनुसार कराया गया. जो जैसे पानी बढ़ता था तो लाशें कट के दिखने लगती थी.
For the UP government, which has been under fire for its handling of the second wave of COVID, the flooded Ganga has brought more woes. With Santosh Kumar in Prayagraj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Breaking news coming in this morning from the valley of 2 terrorists being neutralized in an encounter in Parimpura. An LET commander, Abrar, has been eliminated by forces. 2 AK-47 rifles have also been recovered from the terrorists. Now, the IGP of Kashmir, Vijay Kumar, has confirmed that the terrorist Abrar, who's been gunned down here, was involved in several killings of security forces as well as civilians. We're awaiting more details of the identity really of the second terrorist as well. But this is a huge win for our forces at a time when we've been seeing attempts by terrorists to target our forces when they're off duty in the valley. Kylian Mbappe missed the decisive penalty in the shootout as world champions France were, believe it or not, knocked out by Switzerland in the round of 16 of Euro 2020. The Swiss produced an inspired performance to stun France in a match that witnessed seesawing fortunes. France looked down and out till the first few minutes of the second half. They were already trailing 1-0 when they conceded a penalty in the 52nd minute. But France's captain Hugo Lloris's save galvanized the world champions back into action. Karim Benzema scored a double in a matter of minutes. Paul Pogba then added a third with an extraordinary strike from outside the box. 3-1 down with 9 minutes remaining. Switzerland produced a comeback for the ages. Haris Seferovic's second goal and a 90th minute equalizer by substitute Mario Gavranovic took the match into extra time. And then the penalties, with both teams firing in their first 4 penalties. It was time for sudden death. And while Switzerland scored their 5th spot kick, Kylian Mbappe's miss booted the tournament favourites out of Euro 2020. Switzerland will now play Spain in the final 8.